Good evening and welcome to Fl33tway's Roundup with your boy Darius, and we got a jam-packed episode tonight. There's going to be a lot of topics we got to talk about, a lot of football, basketball, some indie animation news, both about that Digital Circus finale we've talked about before, as well as a new indie pilot that dropped from the same the same studio, of course. So we'll be talking about that, as well as just some little small movie news, some video game news, especially about that Mixtape video game we talked about. And oh boy, yeah, some more news has released involving what's making people hate this game even more, as well as a famous game we've talked about too, Marvel Rivals, possibly using generative AI. So like I said, again, we got a lot to talk about, so let's go and kick things off here with the NBA playoffs. We've been talking about it for these past few episodes, kind of breaking down as the cast of candidates here has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And well, now we have, once again, our final four being the OKC Thunders, Oklahoma City, and going up against the San Antonio Spurs. And then, of course, tonight's game is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks, which currently is in the first quarter at 13-14. But we're just going to kind of briefly talk about this game right here, the OKC San Antonio game. This game, man, it was a fun watch. I did get a chance to catch a few moments from this game, and I mean, they were going back and forth. This is kind of what you expect to see from the number one team in the West as well as the number two team in the West. So it makes sense. This is what you were expecting to see. And they went back and forth. We had a double overtime. So there was one overtime, and then they tied up again, and that went to a second overtime where then the Spurs were able to close the game out. And I think personally, from the little bit that I have seen, just from this game and even just in the regular season, I think the Spurs is honestly the better team between the two. But you can't count OKC out because they are the team that won the finals last year. And SGA, their big star on that team, he won MVP again. But speaking about that whole MVP award, there's a player on this Spurs team that is dangerous, and that is none other than Victor Wembyanana. This is when you think of the Spurs, I know De'Aaron Fox is also another big name you think of, but Wembanyama is also pretty he's like the face of the franchise. Let's keep it real. He's the face of the franchise. Most of the times when you think of the Spurs, he's going to be who you think of. Of course, like I said, De'Aaron Fox is also up there too, but Wembanyama is also up there. And this guy right here, I think what makes the Spurs dangerous in this series is this player right here. And the fact that they were able to do what they did with all the turnovers they had that went against them, and with De'Aaron Fox being out with an injury, they had no business winning this game. Yet, they did. They did just that. And what makes this guy right here scary to me is he is going into this game with a chip on his shoulder. This is a guy that not only is playing against a team that has his essentially high school rival. There is a player on the OKC Thunder. Hold on here. Let me see if I can pull up the roster. OKC Thunder. There's a guy on that team that Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren. Wembanyama does not like this man. He has seen him as his rival since high school. This man has he's been given awards left and right, and throughout those years, Wembanyama has been building this grudge against them. Now, when Holmgren is asked, does he see the beef between him and Wembanyama? He's like, I don't see a beef. We just play the game. But Wembanyama, no. He sees this guy as his hated rival that he wants to do everything in his power to best him, because he's won defensive awards. He's won awards that Wembanyama feels that he should have won, etc., etc. So not only is he going into a game playing against a team that has a guy that he absolutely despises, he has not been quiet about that. Even during the game, there's been a few times where he has definitely shown he wants to do everything he can against him to beat him. But he's also going against a team that, again, like I said, SGA won his second MVP. that's putting more of a chip on his shoulder because Wembanyana, he was up in conversation for winning MVP for the regular season. And so now he's going up against two players that he feels he's better than and that have won awards over him. And that's just adding more and more fuel to the fire. And that's one of the most dangerous players. And to me, that's one of the most dangerous players out there, is a player that's got a chip on their shoulder and feels like he has something to prove. And he does. He feels that this game, if he's able to beat the Thunder and move on to the finals, not only does he beat the team that has the second time winning MVP on there, but he also beats the guy who has that has always been picked before him. And he gets to prove that he's more and more solidifying himself in that status of being a future legend. And so, yeah, I just think he's going to be dangerous. I know that the whole Holmgren thing, especially where when it came down to Holmgren, I've seen a lot of people have had some very harsh criticisms because anybody that has been put on Wembanyana to block him, they haven't really been able to do anything against them. But it's not like they don't have a guy who can, and that's Holmgren. And some people feel like he's kind of, as the term goes, he's ducking smoke. He doesn't want to pair up against Wembanyana because he's afraid that it could get ugly. But dude, you can't be afraid of Wembanyana. Wembanyana wants to destroy you, and I know you want to be chill and be like, oh well, I don't see a beef between us. I think it's all chill. No. If you're serious about this game, you need to go in here with a chip on your shoulder, and you need to understand that Wembanyana is not your friend. He don't like you, and he wants to destroy you. So you have to go into here not with the sense of matching that same level, in the sense of like, oh, I want to destroy him and be like super, like any kind of toxic or anything like that. But you got to go in there ready to help your team, because from what I saw, OKC could not block Wembanyana with anybody else. And I think that the guy that is going to have to step up and block Wembanyana is going to have to be Holmgren. And he's going to have to get over this whole, like, that he doesn't see a rivalry, and he needs to lock in, see that there's a rivalry between them so that he can help the Thunder in this. Because at this rate, if every game goes the way that it's going right now, then the Spurs can have an easy road to the finals. Me personally, I think the final matchup is going to be between the Spurs and the Knicks. I think that they're the best teams in this playoffs, and I think that they're going to be the final matchup, which is going to be big for both teams. But yeah, for any NBA fans, share your opinions. What do you think? Who do you think are going to be the final two in the NBA Finals? And is your team rooting in here? Let me know in the chat below. But we're going to go and move on to some football news, as we got a few things from Adam Schefter, as well as some other little minor NFL news, and then we're going to get into some major NFL news that just broke before I even made it home. But Adam Schefter, he had posted on the 16th this fun little annual class photo of a few of the draft prospects that were drafted in the 2026 draft here. So of course you can see we have players like Jeremiah Love, the running back that was selected to Arizona. We see Sonny Styles selected to the Commanders. We see Carnell Tate there. I believe that's Mansour Delane. I want to say that's Mansour. Falcon. Wait, who did the? I want to say that's got to be what's his name? AJ Terrell's brother. I forgot his name, but that's got to be him. I want to say this is the running back that the Broncos selected. You see Mekhi Lemon, the receiver, the Eagles jumped up in front of the Steelers to select. You see KC Concepcion, the receiver, Brown. So you get the picture. Like, this isn't everyone, but this is a majority of the players that were selected in this 2026 draft. And of course, as far as like even quarterbacks go, you see Cade Klubnik. If I'm correct, Cade Klubnik, the quarterback the Jets selected. You see in the back, even people saying in the comments, the only smiling quarterback, the only quarterback that's got a big grin on his face is Fernando Mendoza. You see Ty Simpson, the quarterback the Rams selected, and so on and so forth. So nice little cool photo to see all these rookies in their threads, seeing the numbers that they've selected. with some having 14, some having number 1, 9, and so on. So it's cool to just see all of them lined up like that, and also getting a chance to see them repping their teams. Of course, sadly, I don't get to see any players selected by my Packers, because my Packers didn't pick it to the 3rd round, but it's okay. I'm not crying. But speaking of Packers, the next news is the Packers have picked up and signed Jerry Rice's son, Brendan Rice, to the practice squad. Now, for any people out there that are watching this episode that aren't too familiar with the NFL and how that works, the practice squad is essentially where they're not officially part of the roster. Like if say tomorrow they had to finally cut down to the 53-man roster, then the practice squad are people that aren't part of that roster, but say someone gets injured, they could come in and take their place and try to jump in and stuff. But since we're in the whole mini camp, OTAs, training, etc., this is where now these type of players that are getting selected, whether it's the rookies, they get drafted, or anybody that is an undrafted free agent, or people who are picked off the wires like Brendan Rice here, they have a chance in practice to try their best to impress. So then the coaches are like, okay, you know what? You're going to be part of this main roster, not the practice squad. And of course, for anybody that doesn't know, this, as I said before, this is the son of the legendary Hall of Famer, Jerry Rice. I think a lot of people should be familiar with Jerry Rice. He is a 49ers legend. Wide receiver. He's basically, that's pretty much where he's played the majority of his career, is with the 49ers. I know definitely Cowboys fans have to be familiar with him, because anytime they played against him, Jerry Rice hated the Cowboys' guts. But yeah, so his son, he was a prospect a lot of people had a lot of hype for, because of course of his name that he carries. We know he was drafted by the Chargers. He only really played 3 games for them. He didn't really make the best impression, and he just kind of sat around. Then he went to the New England Patriots practice squad. Nothing really came of that. And then he went to the Raiders practice squad, but I guess because since he's on the practice squad, that allows another team to go out there and grab him off of waivers to bring him to the team. And it looks like now his 4th team in his career is the Green Bay Packers. And I'm rooting for him. I really am. Similar to Marvin Harrison Jr., we already know he's on a roster. He is active. He is catching passes from quarterbacks in the Cardinals. So I'm rooting for Rice. I really hope that he's able to find his footing, and I hope it is. And especially, I would love for it to be with my Packers. I would love that for Matt LaFleur and them to find a purpose for Brandon Rice on this team, and to be able to utilize him the best way possible, so then he can finally stop the naysayers, silence them, and be able to show that he still has that talent, and he's able to. I don't know if he can live up to his father's career at this point because of how many times he's been passed around, but I still think he has a chance. He's still young. So again, I'm rooting for him to find his success and to find his footing. And of course, I'm rooting for him to find his success with my team, because wouldn't that be something, that the son of the legendary Jerry Rice finds a footing and shows that talent that he can display, that he has shown in college in USC, and be able to show it with none other than my Green Bay Packers. So again, we'll have to see what happens there, but I'm definitely rooting for him. Go Brendan Rice. Hopefully you're able to make it to the main roster, man, and hopefully we could get some use out of you. But one of the next little things here is wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. We have talked about him before. Why? You're going to have to put that in the chat, Pastor 2000, if you're saying why to the Brendan Rice to find some success in the league, or what the why in particular is leading to. Because if it's for Brendan Rice, then I'm saying because, like I said, he showed a lot of talent when he was in college in USC. So there was a lot of hype going around him, and sadly he had a down season. He didn't really do much with the Chargers. Then he bounced around from practice squad to practice squad, whether it was the Patriots, and then last he was on the Raiders. Then the Packers went and picked him up. So of course, like I said, I'm rooting for him, because carrying a name like carrying the name Rice, you want to see that kid be able to have the success in the league and be able to to in some way be able to live up to that name that he carries. And like I said too, he's now part of my team, so I'm gonna root for a guy that's on my team, and I would love for him to be able to stand out and show up for the games and be able to be part of this roster. But again, it's going to be a competition. We got a lot of other receivers that have that connection with Jordan Love, so we'll have to see what becomes of this. But again, he's on the practice squad, so it's all going to matter if he's able to impress the coaches. But as I was just saying here, the wide receiver for the Seahawks, Jackson Smith-Njigba, he finally received his Offensive Player of the Year trophy. Here's the problem, though. As you're going to see in this video, I'm going to play in the background. I'm going to have it muted. He posted on his Instagram story. They sent him a trophy that doesn't say Offensive Player of the Year. It says 2025 Defensive Player of the Year. So now, bias your team. Well, yeah, he's on my team. Of course, I'm going to root for him. But I still, even when he got drafted by the Chargers, he had a lot of hype around him. So, of course, I'm always for a player to get some sort of redemption. We've seen it with other players that just need to find the right team. So, hey, of course I'm going to root for my team to be the right team for him, that he finds his footing. But it's all going to depend on if he even ends up on that 53-man roster. But, yeah, as you can see, his quote for his Instagram story from Jackson Smith-Njigba was, "It's getting disrespectful at this point." Like, and I have to agree with JSN. That's insane that this man, he just won he was Offensive Player of the Year, one of the best receivers that was playing last year next to George Pickens, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, etc. Won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks, and they couldn't even respect him enough to give him a trophy that actually puts his proper position. And you see the face he gives there at the end. If I can freeze it, yeah. Just keep as he puts, just keep the award at this point. Leave it in the history books, though. Yeah, I mean, that's sloppy from the NFL. I mean, this is a guy that he set some records for receivers in that year, and you could even at least respect him enough to give him a trophy that says Offensive Player of the Year. So, yeah, I think that's funny. Hopefully they send him another trophy that actually has the right position on there, but at this point, even like he said, it's like, what's even the point of sending me the right one? This is too funny not to hold on to this and hang it over your head for years to come. But share your opinion. What do you think about the NFL sending JSN his wrong trophy? This should have been going to Myles Garrett from the Browns, but again, get it together, NFL. Come on now. Y'all supposed to be a professional. But one of our other news that came out was we got our news on where the 2030 Super Bowl is going to be taking place, as they have reported that it will be taking place in Nashville in the new stadium of the Tennessee Titans at the new Nissan Stadium. So, of course, we already know that in the coming months, even years, we will be seeing Tennessee's new stadium where the Titans and Cam Ward will be playing. But that also means they're trying to kind of gather into that hype, and what better way to gather into the hype for this new stadium being built than to announce that one of the future Super Bowls is going to be taking place there. And, of course, even Adam Schefter, he kind of QRT'd the post where he said that this was approved 32-0. So I guess they had to do a little bit of like a voting system with the 32 teams on whether or not where this new Super Bowl will be taking place. And it looks like all 32 teams seemingly agreed that this would be a nice place to go and do a Super Bowl. And I couldn't agree more. Hey, build up that hype around this new stadium for the Titans and get a Super Bowl in there. So it'll be fun. I can't wait to see how it looks overall. We've kind of did briefly talk about new stadiums being made. We already know that the Bears, they have a new stadium in the works where it could possibly involve them no longer being the Chicago Bears, but the Indiana Bears, as the jokes like to say. So there's a lot of teams, the Bears, the Titans. We already did talk about the Bills have a new stadium that we will be seeing in action this season. And the Chiefs, they also are supposed to be getting a new stadium. So a lot of teams, they're getting new stadiums. It's always fun to see what they come up with and how well put together they make these stadiums look. So it'll be nice to see what the Titans have in store, and to know that in the coming years we will see them having a Super Bowl take place there. That just builds up a nice that builds up more eyes on this stadium 100%. So share your opinions. What do you think about the 2030 Super Bowl taking place in the Titans new stadium in the coming years? Next thing also that Adam Schefter reported was that we also got our news where the 2028 NFL draft will be taking place, and that will be in Minnesota at the US Bank Stadium. Of course, as a Packers fan, you know that's a big yuck for me. I already know that when my Packers have to select our draft pick, hopefully in the first round, we will definitely be hearing a lot of boos, and we will be eating it up. Hopefully we get Clay. Hopefully we can get get some Packers legends up there on that stadium to talk mad trash to the Minnesota Vikings fans out there, because we don't fear them. We did the same thing in Detroit, and we'll do it again with the Vikings. But that's fun to know. It's cool that we know where the next draft is going to be taking place. I will admit, as much as I don't like the Vikings, I do like the US Bank Stadium. It's a nice looking stadium overall. So it'll be nice to see how they have that draft set up there. And you know that they'll definitely be all in support for when Minnesota has to finally take their pick. So share your opinions. What do you think about the 2028 NFL draft taking place in US Bank Stadium where the Vikings reside? But now we're getting into the big NFL news that I wanted to talk about. And that was, before I made it home today to get set up for the show, I got the notification that Rashee Rice, the Kansas City Chiefs receiver, has broken probation. He was found with marijuana in his system, and this will mean he will have to serve 30 days in jail, meaning he will not only miss OTAs, but he will also miss the mandatory minicamp. And this kind of goes back to what I discussed in one of my draft videos on how I wasn't the biggest fan of the Chiefs selection of Mansour Delane. When they traded with the Cleveland Browns, they were at number 9. They traded with the Browns to move up 3 spots to the number 6 spot, and they selected Mansour Delane. While on one hand, it makes sense to go and get a cornerback, I just think that there were some other better positions like Ruben Bain that helped that defense. Kenyon Sadiq that maybe get there in the offense, like tight end, get another receiving weapon. But I also specifically talked about Jordan Tyson and Mekhi Lemon were available at that pick. And instead they went for a cornerback. And I specifically stated that I think it is weird not to try to get a receiver to help out that offense, because I even said we do not know what is going to happen to Rashee Rice, because we still don't know what is the end goal as far as the whole, as far as his whole felony charges and with the whole car crash. We know he was supposed to be doing rehab, and now he has broken his probation and has been found with marijuana in his system, meaning he's going to serve 30 days and he's going to be missing important training camp for the Chiefs. And this is now causing a lot of eyebrows, and this is now worrying me, because that means if Rashee Rice is going to be missing, that's 30 days. That's a month. So, of course, we're not getting in the season. So, if we're starting the 30 days now, that is a month. That would be in June. But I have some additional news that makes this even worse and really starts to make it seem like the Chiefs should have been a little more proactive in drafting a young receiver to help Patrick Mahomes, because Rashee Rice might miss out more time than just 30 days. Because the 30 days, the fact that this is now turning into a bigger situation, not only this is going to bring up questions and even hard decisions, because I'm like, if I'm Andy Reid and even the general manager, you have to start asking yourself, do we want to keep Rashee Rice on this team? Because at this point, he's becoming more of a liability than an actual asset. And with the other upcoming news I have to share with you, he could miss even more time. As here we go, Adam Schefter reported more about Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice undergoing surgery on the right knee last week and now having to rehab while he's serving 30 days in the Dallas County Jail. So not only on top of that, and he even has some breaking news, which is the real big one. Of course, we see he did update some of the next Super Bowl locations and stuff 2027 in Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, 2028 in Atlanta, 2029 in Las Vegas, and 2030 in Nashville's new stadium. But the big news he dropped was 1 week before being ordered to serve 30 days in jail, Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice underwent a cleanup surgery on his right knee to remove loose debris that was causing inflammation and now is expected to sideline him 2 months. That's not good. That's really not good, because if we add the 30 days, which is a month, that he's going to have to serve in jail, which means he's already going to miss OTAs, he's going to miss the mandatory minicamp, and then add on top of that he could be out for 2 additional months, that is, now, like I said, this is an estimate. I don't know if they're saying that the 2 months is adding in the 30 days, so it's 1 month and an additional month, but if they're saying it's 30 days plus the 2 months, that is 3 whole months that Rashee Rice is not only gonna not be seeing his quarterback, he's not gonna be getting to get familiar with with his teammates again, and being able to stay healthy, stay fit, staying trained, be able to keep his knees in check and all that. He's gonna have to be sitting for an additional 2 months to be getting that right knee in check. I'm sorry, but that's worrying me that there is a chance that the Chiefs, they may have to end up, I don't know. I'm not a general manager. I'm not a head coach, but this definitely is going to bring some hard questions for the Chiefs and Andy Reid to answer, where now they're going to have to ask, are we comfortable going into the season waiting on Rashee Rice to come back, or are we going to have to cut ties with him and then have to ask ourselves the question, are we comfortable going into the new season with Patrick Mahomes coming back from an ACL injury where his best weapons to throw to is an aging Travis Kelce, a Noah Gray tight end who is okay, but he's nothing generational. I'm sorry, he's just not. Xavier Worthy, a guy who's also coming back from an injury and had a lackluster season last year, so he has to step up. So he's kind of an experimental, needs to step up receiver. Tyquan Thornton, another experimental young receiver, and that really leaves it at that. A lot of experimental, needs to prove themselves receiver, and an aging Travis Kelce. I don't know about you, but that does not leave a lot of confidence for me in the receiving room for Patrick Mahomes to throw this ball to. And yes, you're going to have Kenneth Walker to run the ball and even check down to him when he's open, but still, there's a lot of questions. And once again, ties back to where I did not like the pick of Mansour Delane, especially moving up a few picks to select him when you could have moved up a few picks and selected Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson, a young receiver that could have filled in. Because I'm just going to keep it real. Even if the jail thing didn't happen, I do not believe that Andy Reid and them were not aware in some shape or form that this man was gonna have to do additional cleanup surgery on that knee, meaning that he was gonna be missing, like I said, either 1 to 2 months because of the knee injury. There was no way they didn't know about that. So it's like, again, the fact that they probably knew about this, or at least had a sliver of an idea. Why didn't you draft a receiver? Why didn't you draft a young receiver that is a NFL pro ready receiver, like say Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson, like I said before, and now have put yourselves in a position where now there's a lot of and if buts in question marks of receivers that you're going to be relying on. So again, share your opinion in the chat. What do you think about this whole situation? It sucks. It sucks that Rashee Rice has put the Chiefs in this kind of situation. Of course, I don't like to root for the Chiefs because I'm glad that they didn't make it to the Super Bowl and lost the Super Bowl. But still, it sucks that Rashee Rice has put his team in this position where now they're going to have to press a panic button to start trying to see what can they really do as far as looking at another receiver, because all the other receivers that are available in free agency are old. Deebo Samuel, I love him, but he's old. Stephon Diggs is kind of a head case. I know he got cleared of all of his charges, but still, locker room wise, he's always been known for having very bad locker room presence. That's why he hasn't really stuck around with teams like the like the Bills for long, like the Texans for long. And all the reports around him is that he's never been good in the locker room. So it's like, as a GM or a head coach, do you really want to bring him into that locker room and stuff and possibly mess around with the synergy going on? Now, maybe this could add some additional rumors. There have been big rumors about Tyreek Hill, the former Miami Dolphins receiver, who was also formerly a Kansas City Chief, making a possible return to Kansas City and make a reunion. So I don't know. Maybe that might end up working out. But again, I just don't know. So like I said before, share your opinions in the chat. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you think there's any receivers out there that the Chiefs could possibly consider needing to sign in free agency, or maybe even go out and trade for to take care of this Rashee Rice situation? Again, also before I do move on, it still reminds me because how funny it was how last season you had Kansas City Chiefs players walking around on that field wearing shirts trying to support Rashee Rice when they knew he wasn't innocent, and now it has done all of this. So very ironic that you guys showed all that support for Rashee Rice, but now he's digging a deeper hole for you guys as far as it being in a make it back to the Super Bowl situation. But now we're going to move on from the sports topics and briefly talk about a little bit of some movie, television news. As I did, we have talked about this show before, and that is the new James Gunn HBO DC Lanters series. And they dropped another teaser. They dropped the official teaser too, one that is getting a lot more talking. It's becoming a more talking point now, as I think, and I've seen it too. I'm going to play it for you guys and have my camera disappear so you guys can watch it and get a vibe, and even maybe share in the chat what do you think about it. But from what I've seen, I have to say it is definitely a lot better than the first one. I think they took a lot of the criticisms of the first teaser, and they were like, okay, let's show you that we have a lot more to make you guys more interested in the show. I'm excited for it because of Aaron Pierre playing as Jon Stewart, as I grew up with that old Justice League TV show where Jon Stewart was the main Green Lantern. So I'm very excited for the show, and I think that this teaser does a good job to get you more excited. So like I said, again, I'm going to take this camera off, play the video in the background, and then we'll discuss kind of briefly a little bit of what we saw.
This ring, it's the greatest weapon in the universe.
When and if to use it, that's the whole ball game, Junior.
Did you just use that ring to counterfeit money?
No.
Tell me how you got it. The ring.
You know how I got it. I sure as hell didn't interview for it.
Oh, well, shit, maybe you should have. Power like that, shouldn't you have to work for it?
I've been doing this since you were a baby. And the only way you're gonna get this ring is over my dead fucking body.
I think he likes me.
Everybody is lying to us.
We're not leaving here till we find out what they're hiding. Danger's part of the job. You need to be fearless.
How are you chosen for this?
It's only one question. Are you afraid? You afraid?
Are you afraid? Are you afraid? Are you afraid? Are you afraid?
I was raised fearless, and I'll do this better than he's ever done it before.
Then go and get it, Jon Stewart.
Okay, I guess I had the microphone there, so I do apologize if there was any background noise. But again, like I said, I think that teaser was really good. I think because I remember seeing a lot of the complaints of the first teaser that was dropped, where people were like, "Oh, there's barely any Green Lantern stuff. All we really see is Hal Jordan flying up. That's not enough Green Lantern. We want to see more green." And well, they were like, "Okay, you want green? Here's your green." And they start plastering green all over the place. You see a lot of constructs being used. For anybody that is in the comic fan, constructs is when a Green Lantern, basically, that's essentially when the Green Lantern, their ring lights up and they're able to make whatever they want. That's their construct. So, again, I think this teaser does a lot of good things here. I think it gives you, even here, as you see, someone put some pictures, you see him even using the ring to make a $20 bill in counterfeit money, which is a funny little joke. It's a funny little joke there. I'll give him that. But like I said, again, it was overall a really good teaser. It definitely got me more hyped. It shows a lot more of that tension that's going to be building between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, especially when it comes down to who's going to be getting the ring. One of the showrunners, too, if I'm correct, actually talked about how the show is going to be taking place in 2 different time periods. One where it's 2016, and then, of course, one that's more present day. So the 2016 is going to clearly be probably a little more of when Hal Jordan is supposed to be teaching Jon Stewart how to get a hold of the ring and get better. As that's the whole purpose and story behind this, is that Hal Jordan, he doesn't want to give up the job. He wants to still be a Green Lantern, but sadly he's kind of feeling like he's getting forced into the position where he has to give up the ring and move on and let Jon Stewart become the new Lantern. So that's going to kind of cause some tension and stuff. And we also see, too, there's even a clip in a flashback where Jon Stewart is a kid, and we see how Jordan, when he's like clearly that Green Lantern at the time, we see him with a lighter green suit. So that also kind of shows us and kind of confirms some theories that the reason that one time we saw his Lantern suit looking so brownish yellow is because it's probably going to be a story beat that we're seeing. When he was starting, how it was more brighter green. It looked more like a Lantern suit. But as the years got on, the more time he started to get more battle worn. He started to get more gruff, more older. He started to get more like aggressive. That now the colors of the green are starting to lose that bright coloring and starting to show just how he's becoming inept to be a Green Lantern. So I think this teaser does a good job at, in my opinion, pulling you in more. I've been wanting to see. I mean, the last time we've ever seen the Lanterns in live action has been the Ryan Reynolds movie, and we know that was not a good movie, and it left a bad impression for anybody wanting to get into Green Lantern. So I'm excited for this series, and all I can say is I hope they do it justice, and I hope they're able to do this right. I'm excited. Share in the chat or the comment down below. What do you think about this Lantern show? Do you think that this teaser 2 did what you want to see more of, and does it get you hyped, or do you want to see a little more, especially when they have to drop that official teaser, or that official trailer? Because again, this was just a teaser, so that's only snippets and bits and pieces of what the story is going to be. Next up, for some of our little rounding out movie news, we got a update on Sonic the Hedgehog 4, as posted by the director Jeff Fowler, which he's been as a Sonic fan, he's been one of the best things to happen to the franchise and to happen to these movies. As a director, he has a deep love for this franchise. Even one of the funniest things too is that he actually worked with the Sonic franchise, as even in this post, one of his first visual effects jobs, he worked on the 2005 Shadow the Hedgehog game. So he's had a deep-rooted connection with the Sonic franchise, and he deeply loves it, and he's proven it with the past movies. As he posted on May 15, and that's a wrap on Sonic the Hedgehog 4. On behalf of this amazing cast and crew, we have filmed the best Sonic movie yet, and can't wait to share with the blue heart and a pink heart, obviously representing for Sonic or Metal Sonic and Amy. And he dropped a little photo of himself there on the set with Metal Sonic, which it's crazy to see. It's crazy to see how far we've come from Sonic set photos, and especially designs for the characters, considering where we started with the original Sonic movie and how he was looking back then to now how accurate he looks with some of the set photos. Let me see here. these set photos are from Sonic movie 2, but where was, come on, where is it? Where was the, let me see set photos. I know they gotta have it because I've seen it before. The set photos from the first Sonic movie when they still had the ugly Sonic. When they still had the ugly Sonic. There he is. There he is. Yeah, this monstrosity. Yeah, the original Sonic, the ugly one that we almost got stuck with all those years ago, and now we went from that to where we have the most game accurate looking Metal Sonic, and he looks good. He's ripped straight from the games, and I'm excited. This also gets me excited too, the fact that they're saying that this is going to be the best Sonic movie they've made, considering that, in my opinion, Sonic 3 was like the best Sonic movie so far. And the fact that they're saying that this is going to be the best tells you that they plan on topping it, which I'm excited. This is going to be a fun movie overall. And I can't wait to see what they got in store for us, especially with Amy and Metal Sonic. So if I have any Sonic fans in there, or anybody that maybe has watched the previous Sonic movies and liked them, what do you think about them saying that this fourth movie is going to be the best that they've made? Does that get you excited, or are you more so there like, well, I'll wait till it's on screen to determine if it's the best one made? But I'm overall excited. Can't wait to see what they got in store. I think Jeff Fowler is definitely going to keep his promise on that. I know he's good with these movies. Is there Son? Why'd you put an angry face next to Sonic? Why you gotta put an angry face? It looks like a constipated face, if you ask me. Is there ever a good Sonic movie? Yes, the last one, Sonic 3. That was a really good one. You and I know who this is. You and me, we watched the first one, and you actually chuckled and laughed at that first movie. You thought that there was at least some adorable charm in there. So you I had to get you with the constipated, angry looking face, trying to be all like, "Arr." Well, yes, there's a good Sonic movie. The last one was good. The first one was, all of them have been good. There hasn't been a bad Sonic movie. I mean, listen, I don't like to use Rotten Tomatoes as a score or anything, because honestly, they've proven they're not reliable. But for the people that do use the Rotten Tomatoes as a grade to rank movies, listen, let me break it down for you here. Okay, whatever. We will enable the ads. Just this website. Refresh. Give me one sec here. I have the ad blocker. But look, I'm going to break it down for you guys. Look at this. Rotten Tomatoes, first movie, 64%. That's the audience score. So, that's the critics score. So critics gave it a 64. That's a decent. That's not like the best, but hey, it's better than. Oh, at least it's over 50. At least 50 and below, that's worse. But still 60, good. 93% audience. This is the audience score. Got 93, almost 100. A lot of people liked it. It did good. The second movie, it improved. It got better. It went up to 69% by the critics. It went up with the audience, 96%. So far, a good track record. Let's see here. Can we find the third one? I know we got to find it here. Come on. Where's the third movie? I know I got to get moving on to some of my next topics, but let me see here. Let's go Ben Schwartz. If we do Ben Schwartz, we could probably find the third. Here we go. Third movie. 86% by the critics. That's the best. Like I said, the third one was the best, and the critics thought so too. It was their best rated movie. It took a huge leap over the 60%. Audience, it kind of dropped down from the 96%. So audiences like the second one a little more than the third, but I think the third was overall the better movie out of all three. So to hear the director say that the fourth is the best that they're making makes me like, good job. I'm excited, but again, like I said, the point is that every movie has gotten better, and the fact that you're saying that the fourth one is going to be even better than the third, I can't wait to see what this score is going to be. what you think about the Michael Jackson movie. When will you do a review? Well, I haven't seen the Michael Jackson movie, sadly. I know there's a lot of people that have seen it, and I know I've heard a lot of people talk about that movie. I think I do plan on seeing it in the next few days, either this coming weekend or the weekend after. Well, I'm supposed to be going out to California for a few things. You know this. And so I have been talking about possibly going to see that movie when I get back from California with some family. So either this weekend or in the coming weekends, I do intend on trying to watch this Michael Jackson movie. And when I do see that movie, I'll definitely dedicate a part of the episode on Fl33tway's Roundup to give a little review. I have heard a few things about it. It's been kind of a mixed bag from what I've heard, but definitely I'll try to share my opinion on what I think of the Michael movie 100%. I know a lot of people talking about it, so I'll definitely be getting in on it too to talk about that movie as well. But we're going to go and move on to some next news here, especially after we just briefly talked about some video game news, since that was a video game movie with the Sonic movie. And we're going to talk about a little Marvel Rivals news. I did talk briefly about it since it is getting into its next season, which for the non-gaming people out there, season of the game is when they introduce new characters and a new story, etc., etc. We saw that trailer in, I want to say it was last week's episode, where we saw the new characters. And the reason we're talking about this is because people noticed in one of the loading screens of the game that it looks like Rivals might be using generative AI, which is a big no-no. You guys already know how much I don't like generative AI. I'm a big anti-AI guy, and so of course to see this disappoints me. Someone had posted this. They of course circled some of the things, how it looks a little off with her glasses. You could kind of see some of those inconsistencies with AI. And I actually did hop onto the Marvel Rivals, and I saw this screen they're talking about in motion, and I was like, something don't look right about this. Am I crazy, or does this look like generative AI? But I was like, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm becoming so paranoid with generative AI. Maybe I'm assuming stuff. But nope, others have noticed it too. And even one of these more like official accounts that breaks down news and info for Marvel Rivals, they said they've been doing this for a while. Unfortunately, the breathing animations for the item shop and other breathing animations across the game used to use something called spine animations, which are still still images that are morphed and animated, usually by a human, but they replaced those with video files they could generate with AI. Less efficient disk space wise, by the way. So, of course, like they said, originally they used to do something where the characters would move, the characters would move and animate and stuff. And they used to do it with humans, but recently they've been doing it now with AI. And as you can see here, like you can even see it, how she moves and stuff. How she moves, it looks like those generated AI videos on how characters move and stuff. And that's the most recent, but this was last season. So again, that was just a couple months ago they were using it. And then even a season before they used it. So they've been slowly but surely, and this is what these companies do. They start to sprinkle this generative AI usage and hope that people don't pick up on it. But no, we noticing it. Marvel Rivals and Guang, that's one of the main lead developers of the game. We're seeing it. So you thought y'all were slick, but you ain't slick. We catching on to this kind of stuff. And it sucks. It sucks to see that they think that they could keep getting away with using generative AI in this, especially when they used to use humans. They used to use an actual person to animate these still images for them. So again, they're trying to cut these corners, and it's like, come on now, guys. Y'all aren't some, even if we could be as harsh as we are to people on the internet that be using generative AI in small studios, cutting corners, you 100% are going to reach the full force of people being upset about this. And even as another person said, of course, I'm not going to say that word there, but someone said, to everyone who said that NE won't release a statement, but NE being NetEase won't release a statement but stopped using AI, here's your proof that they don't give an F about their players. Keep boycotting, keep demanding for a statement, and promise that they'll never use it again. Yeah, it's and the reason why we're talking about this whole they'll never use it again, because there's actually, you could go back last year that they were implementing AI. I remember this. In 2025 of July, Namor, one of the characters in the game, had a new skin that came out. He had a new skin come out, and in that MVP animation, the final little screen, people noticed something where Namor had 6 toes. Now, some people might be like, well, Namor is a mutant. He is an X-Men. He's a metahuman, so maybe he just comes with 6 toes. No, he doesn't. He has normal 5 toes, and typically, if I can expand this image, typically when a character gets extra body limbs like this, that means AI has been used, because AI does not have the human capacity to be able to generate the proper amount of toes. And as you can see here in one image, the toes are bleeding into each other. So that already is your dead giveaway. It's AI. But then in this image, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 toes. That means AI was used. So they've already been slowly but surely implementing generative AI into their artwork, and now they're getting a little too comfortable for my liking. So I'm hoping people stay vocal about it. I hope people don't let up. I hope people expect them to give a statement that they'll stop using this, because it's getting to a point where it's becoming more and more noticeable they're cutting these corners. And for a company that's making as much money as they are as a live service free-to-play game, you have no excuse to be cutting corners like this. And the toes was the start. And that's how these people that are so comfortable using Gen AI, they start off slow. They start off with the small stuff where they think you won't notice. But then when people don't notice, they get too comfortable and they start doing it more and more and more and more and more. And then people notice it. And then they're going to be like, oh, well, we won't do it anymore. We see people don't like it. So then they'll go back into the shadows. They'll start waiting to see if the controversy dies down. And then trust me, I fear they'll try to do it again. So people got to be very vocal about this kind of stuff. Don't let up. Do not let them be getting away with this kind of stuff. So you guys already know my opinion when it comes to generative AI. So share your opinions in the chat and comment below. What do you think about Marvel Rivals, again, getting caught red-handed using generative AI for their stuff? But some of our last gaming news, as I did talk in a previous episode of Mixtape, a game that everyone is hating. The Mixtape, the game that everyone hates, the game that has been getting 10 out of 10 reviews by all these game journalists, and yet everyone who has played the game has called it a 7 out of 10 at best. That it's barely even deserves to be called a game. I even broke it down for you. This is a game that you could literally not even press a single button on your controller or set your controller down and the game will play itself. Basically missing the whole point of being a game, and yet it is getting all these 10 out of 10 reviews, and some of these game journalists saying that it could be a game of the year. And, well, some news is broke on this game, and it's not good news. Well, first, someone had posted this clip where they were like, if Mixtape was a movie, I wouldn't have been able to have such fun doing this. And this is like one of the only times where the game wants you to actually press buttons. So yeah, the only time you press buttons is for your hand to tap on the door, press buttons, bob your head, etc., etc.
Cheeseburger combos,
just
spicy
constantly
sauce trio, 3 jalapeno poppers, 2 serves of cheesy breadsticks, cheeseburger.
So you see, like, and someone had said this tweet probably destroyed Mixtape's reputation more than anything else. I'm not even kidding. If this is the most interactive content the game has to offer, then it's not even a game. And listen, there's no problem if you enjoyed it, but still, it does a bad service to the supposed game that all these game journalists are giving 10 out of 10 reviews for. If that is all you can find that's interactive with the game, then why is this being called one of the best games of the year? It's not even a video game. But back to what I said, what just got reported is Mixtape song licenses were paid in perpetuity, so don't expect licensing issues to lead to a delisting. That's not good, guys. Well, it's not good in the sense of, because this game has been kind of, game journalists, all that kind of stuff, have been calling this, it's been trying to pose as a indie game. We've talked about the word indie. Indie means independent, meaning that they're not supposed to be, that they're doing this independently. They don't have a big studio backing them up or funding them to do things. So we're independent. We're doing this all on our own. We're doing this with small resources. And there was already suspicions, considering that one of the studios behind this game is Annapurna, which is a subdivision of a big movie studio. So already that kind of was like, wait, how are you supposed to be indie if you could do this? There was also other questions like, wait, if you're independent, how are you possibly getting the money to send out these care packages to some of these game journalists? It's almost like you're paying them off to give good reviews. Could you possibly be doing this and stuff? And now this puts the biggest red flag on this being an indie game. Because if, for anybody that doesn't know, for something especially as big as song licenses, because this game has a lot of licensed songs, being in, heck, it's me probably playing that little clip from the game and not muting it. My video could possibly get even taken down for using that song. So that's just how big these songs are that are used in the game. It has a lot of licensed songs. So for these song licenses to be paid in perpetuity, for no one that doesn't know, for a song license to be paid in perpetuity, that means that they spent millions of dollars to make it where their game can't get removed, it can't get blocked, because that means essentially the game has purchased the rights to use those songs for its entire lifespan. That they don't have to repay licenses to keep the game up. They have basically set in stone and locked it down that, hey, you can't come back at us and say, oh, well, you need to take this game down or delist it because your contract is up. No, they basically paid a permanent license that their game has the right to play these songs for eternity. And that is the biggest red flag to a lot of haters of the game and even people who have been suspicious of this game, because that's a lot of money for a supposed independent studio to be able to get perpetually licensed. Even this person broke it down. Jesus Christ, not even a company that makes $1 million a day like Rockstar, nor Microsoft, EA, these are big gaming companies, could get perpetual licenses. The Nepo babies spent tens of millions on this at minimum. Nepo, I think a lot of people smart enough know what the word Nepo baby means. That means that basically silver spoon in mouth. They've had everything given to them. And yeah, that's a lot of money. I'm even gonna real quick try to just to really break it down for you guys. Perpetuity license meaning. Let's see here. Here we go. So a perpetual license is a software licensing model where you pay a single one-time fee to use a specific version of a program indefinitely. Unlike a subscription, the license does not expire, but it also typically does not include future major updates or ongoing technical support. Now, of course, that's talking about it's talking about the virtual program, et cetera, et cetera. But if we're using this in a video, if we're using this in a song standpoint, like I just said, this means they only had to pay a one-time fee to constantly use that song in their game for the foreseeable future with no backlash, no delisting, etc., etc. And that is not good. That really puts a big red exclamation point. Really, it puts a lot of eyes now on this game that's supposed to be independent, where now everybody's looking at it and they're like, wait a minute, if you're supposed to be independent, how would you have possibly gotten all the money to not only be able to pay all these employees, be able to make this game, but also to pay and to have the money to send out care packages to people's front doors to support your game, but to also pay a perpetuity license for these big name soundtracks. Like that post just said, they would have had to spend tens of millions. They would have had to spend 10 or more $1 million for this. That just starts to add more and more to the possible controversy behind this game, that this is no independent company. This is no independent game. This is as I said in one of my episodes, this is a industry plant. This is some big name studio that is trying to force feed people this game so that they can win all these awards and be the best of the best. And we don't like that. We do not like industry plants, because that means that there's no soul behind it. That means that it is just another industry. It is just another company, big name company, trying to push itself into a space that's popular and trying to get all these awards and stuff. It's proving it wants to win Game of the Year. It wants to be the next big game that wins all these awards and stuff. And sadly, everybody's, I think, has already caught on. There's been enough evidence proving for everybody to catch on to what this game is trying to sell. And everybody agrees. If the Game Awards that takes place in December this year gives Mixtape the Game of the Year award, people are going to know it's an industry plant, and it means that it's going to definitely cause the viewership for future Game of the Years or Game Awards to go down and down, because it shows that you're not legit, that you could be bought out, you could be paid, people can hand you the money to something that started off from passion and started out with actually giving fair criticism and fair votes for games to win awards, can be rigged and bought out by money, which of course everybody who might even be watching this is going to say, well, that's just how the world works, Darius. Everything could get bought out with money. But there was a point in time, like I said, we have to still wait till December happens, but there was a point in time where the Game Awards was seen as something that wasn't corporate, that was being funded and seen from actual gamers that cared for the art. And if Mixtape wins Game of the Year, it is going to definitely crush a lot of gamers' opinions of that award show, because everybody's going to be looking at it and being like, well, the game that is clearly an industry plant that clearly had to pay off people to get all these 10 out of 10 reviews is about to win Game of the Year. So for anybody that is watching, share your opinion in the chat and comment below. What do you think about Mixtape most likely being an industry plant, that some big studio is paying off all these game journalists to give all these big positive reviews for it to win awards? What do you think? Do you think that we're overreacting, or do you think enough evidence from what I've shown in this episode and last week's episode proves that Mixtape is an industry plant of a game? But first off, before we do get into one of our little final two news of the night, I know we are at 8:30, but just got still a few more topics to talk about. Rest in peace to a voice acting legend, Tom Kane. Cartoon Network had made the post. Of course, I had seen the post before Cartoon Network officially posted it, but Tom Kane, he's been a legend in the voice acting industry. He's voiced a lot of iconic characters. As you see, one of his iconic characters, for anybody that watched the Powerpuff Girls, he was the voice of their father, Professor Utonium. He's also voiced a lot of other animated characters in classic TV shows. He sadly passed away a couple days ago. Let's see here if I could pull up some of his other roles. So yeah, of course, he was Professor Utonium in the Powerpuff Girls. He has played characters in Star Wars Clone Wars, a lot of Powerpuff Girls. He's been in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Wild Thornberries. Let's see, who did he play in Wild Thornberries? Who did he play? He played Darwin. Okay. Oh, that's right. He played the monkey. He played the monkey in the Wild Thornberries. Okay, that makes sense. I definitely hear that voice now. Let's see, what was one of the other projects? Foster Home for Imaginary Friends. I remember growing up on that when I was a kid. He was the hare. He was the rabbit that was running the place in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So again, you see some of the faces. He played a lot of iconic characters. So again, rest in peace to a legend. He will be missed. It sucks to see him go, but that's just age for you. But moving on to voice acting / animation type news, we got some more breaking news as far as that Digital Circus finale movie I've been talking about in these past episodes, where Digital Circus Turkey, the account that we have talked about before, they broke out some crazy news where the Digital Circus movie has been leaked online. An individual who wished to remain anonymous and introduce themselves as a hacker reached out to me, claiming to have leaked the movie. They shared a screenshot related to the matter in a 1-minute 30-second clip from the film. I don't know if the leak is real or not, but based on our checks, it seems 99% legitimate. According to what the hacker told us, they're selling the full version of the movie for $1,000. We haven't come across any shares about this on the internet, and I think we're the first page to hear about it. This is very intriguing, by the way. We have no intention of sharing any files sent to us on the internet. And even someone said an actual Digital Circus leak exists, and I'm not even joking this time. This is big. Now, disclaimer, as much as I have voiced my disappointment in how Glitch Productions has handled this whole Digital Circus movie, and even when it comes down to them pulling out of these contracts with these movie industries, well, these movie theaters, as far as releasing it to other countries, and I've been very disappointed in how they've handled it, I do not condone nor do I support the idea of people leaking the movie out. I don't support that stuff. I've even said it before when we talked about the Avatar Last Airbender movie that was getting leaked around on the internet. I don't support that stuff. There are people, animators, voice actors that did have to put a lot of effort into these movies, and for it to all get thrown down the drain for someone to go and leak it out like this, especially for someone to leak it out for $1,000, it's just like, I just don't get hackers sometimes, man. Leakers and hackers. I just don't get it. I mean, I get it in this. I get it in the sense of the money, but man, it's just like, how can you be so scummy? You know, you get this movie by whatever little shady means you did, and then you're like, yeah, I have this movie that I'm gonna leak, and I have it, and if I get paid $1,000, they could get the movie, and I won't leak it. It's just like, why do all of that? You know, why go out of your way to be so hateful for money to ruin all these people's hard work? And maybe this is just someone who's angry at Glitch at how they've handled the whole, like I said, this whole movie. And maybe they were from one of the countries the movie wasn't going to come out to, and there's like, well, you don't want to release it to our country? Well, I'm going to go and leak your movie. Again, I think it's scummy. I don't condone it. It sucks that this happens, but it's funny that Glitch, after they claimed they've been pulling out of these contracts with these theaters of showing the movie because they quote unquote are like, well, we don't want the movie to get leaked and we just don't trust Korea. Well, guess what? The movie's now getting leaked. The movie's gotten leaked and a hacker's gotten their hands on it, and it wasn't even from one of the countries you've been accusing of possibly the movie getting leaked. So kind of ironic in a sense, but again, I don't condone it. It sucks to be hearing that. Another Digital Circus account, one of these other countries that have talked about the movie, has talked about Portal Glitch Brazil. They reported the movie Amazing Digital Circus, The Last Arc, or I think it's called The Last Act, I think they misspelled that, has leaked. We received information from that the Digital Circus movie set to release on June 4th had its Brazilian version leaked by an anonymous hacker. Don't go looking. Be careful not to stumble upon spoilers. Another thing they also reported, just to highlight that there are no guilty parties in this story. The hacker somehow managed to access an apparently unfinished version of the episode. We at Glitch Brazil will not post anything leaked. We're only commenting to alert you about possible spoilers. So I guess this might have been a reply to some, probably just to tell everybody that, listen, just because we're reporting about this does not mean that we're going to just post it or anything like that. And I'm glad that they're going about it this way. They're being the bigger person. Again, I'm also talking about this to try to, for anybody that was maybe interested in watching the previous episodes or interested in seeing this movie, or any Digital Circus fans that might be watching my episode, to give you a warning. You are going to have to be careful. Don't go looking for it. It's going to be hard to avoid, especially for those people that might be Digital Circus fans, because if you're a Digital Circus fan, your feed is going to suggest this kind of stuff and is going to be like, well, hey, we know you're a Digital Circus fan. Get this. Ooh, movie was leaked. So again, be careful. Give an awareness. Be careful. Be on the lookout. It's out there. So try your best to stay away from it, and not just so you don't get spoiled. So share your opinion. What do you think about this whole situation that the movie has seemingly been leaked by a hacker? One of our next things, our last topic, speaking of glitch, we're going to briefly talk about their new little pilot that dropped over the weekend, if I'm correct, last Friday, I want to say it was last Friday, where they dropped a new pilot for a show that they've been talking about, Gameoverse, where the premise essentially is, and I'm going to kind of just give a little bit of a brief review of this pilot because I did watch it. I was excited about this. You might have heard the keyword was excited. I am a little worried now because for me watching it, and this is going to be the last topic we're going to talk about here, I was not a fan of this pilot. The premise, I love it. The pilot itself that I watched, I was not a fan of it. The premise essentially is that our main character here, Kit, and Caboodle, her little sidekick, and also their other little sidekick, Gobbles, the Lernosaurus, and it looks like possibly another main character that was also introduced in that pilot episode I watched, Flappers. The pilot, essentially what they break down and reveal is that our main characters, their job is they have to help the villain of each video game world win and beat the hero, because if the hero wins the game and beats the villain, their world is basically going to get destroyed and terminated. And that premise sounds, the premise sounds good. I cannot deny it. It's a cool premise. The idea that the heroes have to help the villains win, so then their world doesn't get destroyed, while the bad guys, these guys on the left here, have to help the hero win and beat the bad guy, so then they could destroy the world and then recruit the villain to their team. That's what these villains do in the pilot. As we even see at the end of the episode, they successfully do have the hero beat the villain. They try to recruit the bad guy of that world, but the villain doesn't end up wanting to work with them, so they kill him. But still, it's a cool premise. I just didn't like the pilot. I didn't like the pilot. It was too fast paced. I am very big on pacing. You even heard me talk about that with the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I just was not a fan of that pacing. I'm very, very serious about if pacing is good or not. And the pacing wasn't. It was all over the place. It tried to force too much into a 30-minute episode. It tries too much to be in episode 1 while also being a pilot. And it doesn't work. And on the internet, a lot of people have been talking about it. A lot of people have been negative about it. And I hate to be negative too, in the be grouped up in that category, especially grouped up by all the defenders, because they love to group up all of us people who have been criticizing it all together in one group. But we've been giving fair criticism, in my opinion. And yeah, it was too fast paced, and I just couldn't get attached to any of the characters. It even feels like they tried in one scene a little too hard to get you attached, because they do this weird half and half where the beginning they show you her whole backstory, but then they turn around and hit you with this whole, oh, well, we're going to also be mysterious with her backstory and show her flashbacks. And no, they need to pick one or the other. Either pick to be mysterious with her backstory with the flashbacks, so then we're like intrigued. So then we get this connection to be like, ooh, wait, why is she getting these flashbacks? Maybe we want to see more of why she's got this trauma. But no, there's really no reason to have that interest, because we've already seen what happens to her world, because we had a couple minutes to know her backstory. So there just isn't any way for me to get attached to Kit's character. And the voice acting was okay. Her voice acting was good. The voice actor for Caboodle, his was bad. Heck, when I was watching the pilot, his mic just sounded off. It sounded way more out there compared to everybody else's. And yeah, if I had to just quickly give a like out of 10 review for this, I would give it a 6 out of 10. I think it's their weakest of the pilots. I mean, there's always a chance to improve, but for a first impression, not a good one. Not a good first impression, Glitch and Rubber Ross, the creator behind this series. Not a good first impression with your pilot. So all I can say is I hope you can take the fair criticism, not the harsh criticism, the fair criticism, take it into account and try to improve to get better. Because so far, there's a lot you need to fix, in my opinion. But that's all we have for tonight's episode. I hope that you guys did enjoy what we had to talk about. As always, share your opinions in the chat and comment. What did you think about the topics that were discussed? As always, you guys know that we come on Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So as always, you guys take care. Y'all have a good night. Love y'all. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.